Welcome to Empowered by AI. I'm Michelle Muncy Silva. This podcast is for women building what's next and using AI with intention. In Season 7, you'll hear from founders, entrepreneurs, business builders who are redefining success, creating on their own terms, and moving with intention. We're learning from conversations about reinvention, identity, and taking action because every episode gives you ideas you can use immediately. Let's get into it. Michele Williams in the hello.
Hello. How are you?
So excited.
Me too.
I am looking forward to this, and I'm going to let you kick us off. I want you to say hello to the lovely lady and tell them a little bit about yourself.
All right. I'm Michele Williams. I live in Maryland, and I am the founder of MS Works Learning, which is a learning platform basically designed for the nonprofit human services sector. So my background is working in homeless services as a social worker for the last 25 years or so, and really being invested in the last 10 years in staff training and kind of how to help people do the work that they are called to do, but to do that in a way that makes it more successful for them and also helps us achieve a better outcome for the people that we're trying to serve. So whenever you go any place, you want to know that somebody's working with you who's well-trained in what they're supposed to do so that you get the best service possible. And we owe that to our neighbors who are experiencing homelessness as well as other folks who are in need in our community. They should have the same quality service delivery as we give to anything else.
You said you were working in that industry for quite a few years before you started this. I'm always curious how founders feel about their corporate or industry life that came before their entrepreneurial roles. So is there an element of that you feel still serves you today? Or do you feel like there's something that you had to unlearn to become more entrepreneurial? Or is it maybe both?
It's probably a little bit of both, right? So, I mean, I was a social work major in college because I took a career assessment test and it said I wasn't profit oriented. So I took that on. I'm like, okay, well, I don't seem to care about profit. So I became a social worker, worked with people with disabilities for many years, and then started working in the homeless response system, mostly in the District of Columbia. So I did that for about 10 years and then did all kinds of things. I think I was probably somewhat entrepreneurial, but didn't know it in that space and never had a vision for actually being in business for myself. But then things change in life. And so ended up stepping out on my own to do consulting. And I did consulting on behalf of the Department of Housing and Urban Development nationally and privately for the last 10 years. And that's kind of where the vision for MS Works Learning really started to shape up. Like I had that idea 10 years ago and was like, I don't really know what that means or what it looks like. And then just over time, got more and more experience, life experience, right? And work experience. And it just shows you kind of where's the gap that you're supposed to fill. And so I identified this as the gap. And I say that because it really was something that 10 years ago, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to have the #1 training platform for people who work in human services. And so 10 years later, I can't say we're #1 yet, but we will be #1.
So I love that. I love that. And when did you first start calling yourself a founder out loud?
So honestly, just recently in my private consulting work, which is Michele S. Williams LLC, I thought of myself as a CEO, but not necessarily a founder, right? I equated founder with something that was a little bit more tangible of a product. And so when we got to the learning platform and I was like, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm doing it. Then I began to think of myself as a founder, and probably because it wasn't just like solving problems that exist already in the world. I mean, it is problems that exist, but our take on it is what I feel makes the difference for us. And that's where I feel like I own that. I own what is our take. And we live between kind of what is the needs of people, people who are experiencing challenges, people who are working with folks experiencing challenges, and the technology. And so I really see that as like my lane is kind of that space in between that helps bridge, the content and what people really need to do their jobs well and to serve people, effectively, and technology and how we can make sure that they're able to do that. That's an "and" made sense to me, right? Like, it didn't make sense before that, but now it feels like it's the right term.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And as you've walked into that, do you feel like you're pushing through particular challenges? Is it with visibility? Is it with money and charging your worth? Is it taking up space in your niche? What is it that you feel like you're trudging through right now?
Yeah, I think trudging through right now, when I was a private consultant and you're starting out, you don't have a lot of overhead, right? Like you're just you. And so, I mean, yes, you have bills to pay, right? Yeah. But you don't have like the responsibility for other people or for, the systems in such a way. In doing this, it's been like, how much do I put? I have to put a lot out, right? Like to get to, what we want the product to be. So we had to invest in technology. I've had to invest in a team. And I'll just be really clear that I think I never fully understood that before. I understand that tremendously now, that there's value in a team. And, if you have the vision that you're supposed to have, right, which you wouldn't have if it wasn't meant for you, then you got to step out there a little bit and you got to trust, and you have to trust other people, right? And you have to find the right people and you have to convince them to be on your team. And then you have to let them do what they are there to do to support you. And that's probably been one of the harder things, right? Because we all want to be like the independent and, oh no, I can handle all this, but you actually can't send all the emails. You can't fix all the technology problems. You can't do all of those things by yourself, or you're going to burn yourself out. And that's certainly not what you go on this entrepreneurial journey for. You don't go on this to burn yourself out and not have quality of life. So I think that's been the hardest thing. But I'm gonna tell you, Michelle, I spent I don't know how many years in business coaching programs going, I don't even understand this. I don't know why. This doesn't apply to me, right? And then when I actually hit the moment, I was like, oh, this is what they mean. Right? Food. That's what we were talking about this whole time. Marketing. Oh my gosh. Like now I get to pull from all that. And so that's probably the other thing that I did for years before. I knew already I was a social worker. I was not a business owner. I didn't go to business school. I don't even think I had a math course in my whole social work education. So there was a lot of like, okay, how do I train myself to do that? How do I find out places to go and get support? And so that's why I invested in coaching a lot. And so I've become more of a, especially if you can learn it in 6 weeks or a weekend, I love it. I want to know it. But like, first, not going to fast track this shit. Like, yeah. I'm going back to college, right? But if I can learn it in some way from people who are doing it, then that's what I invest in. And, I think that has helped tremendously for me to be able to, when I finally got to the place where I'm supposed to be, I can see it. I can see the vision. And so, yeah. But yeah. Sometimes it's just like, okay, I hope this works. Right.
Right? But you do it anyway.
You do it anyway. I do it terrified. And I still, every day I'm like, okay, I can't believe this is happening. But we're doing it. We had a big launch this past week for our major client to really kick the whole thing off. And no, everything didn't go well. There were issues, but we had a commitment to repairing those issues so that we can deliver them a quality product. And we did, right? With the use of AI. I just want to say that, right? Like, this wouldn't be possible for me if I hadn't been on that AI journey, right? Which came to me from She Leads AI and participating in Festivus in December.
So I'm really interested in how you moved this forward, because December sounds like a really recent, right? Like that just is months, right? So what did your transition look like? Did you build your business while still employed? You talk about building a team. What did this transition look like to your first big client? What was that journey like?
So I had already been doing consulting for 10 years, right? So I had have an established client base, right? Who we were fortunate, both individually and with other partners. And we have some long-term contracts, right? Like I had long-term consulting contracts that I've been able to kind of work on. And that has been the base of my like business for the last 10 years. And so I continue to do all of that and then kind of had this vision. And it was through that work, honestly, it's through that work of being out there in the field and establishing myself and, becoming a national expert that, the opportunity to really step fully into this came to me, right? I was recommended by a colleague to an organization that was looking for someone to deliver training content to them and to help manage an LMS system on their behalf. And so that it was really just one connection. And I got in conversation with them and I submitted a proposal and we worked for weeks to refine it and to get it to be what they wanted to be. And they took a chance and they went with us. And we're not going to let them down. So it's almost like everything before built to that moment. I just didn't know it was coming. But
Yeah.
like, it was just an idea, honestly, before I connected with them, it was just like, it's an idea. I still want to do it. And then when they came, it just provided us with the platform to say, okay, we actually can do this on a national level. We can. And in that, our learning platform is going to have the reach to potentially 85,000 volunteers all across the country. And so if you had told me even in November last year that this would be what I was considering, I would have said, oh no, it's not going to go like that. Right. But when it happens, it happens. And you have to be prepared for the moment, but also willing to take a risk. Right. And I'm a risk taker. Yeah. I just had to okay, it might work, it might not work, but that's the way it is with everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I know a lot of people they get into camps about what it takes to transition to an entrepreneur. So there's the camp that's like, you have to quit everything. You have to dive. And if you don't dive, then you're just not committed. And then there's
Right.
others that are like, okay, I'm going to give myself a 5-year runway. There are those that are a little bit more cautious. I know you said you're a risk taker. So let's meet in the middle.
Yeah.
And let's go 12 months. So if someone listening wants to transition, maybe they're giving themselves a 1-year window. What do you think they should focus on first?
I would say they should focus first on refining what their idea is, right? It can be really hard to figure out what is that actual thing that is your niche. And it doesn't have to be huge, right? Like this is I would say the zone of genius, right? This is the zone of genius that you have, and you have an idea that fills a gap within that, then you have to go, okay, I have this, it fills a gap. I think, we can all put things off and we all want to be as prepared. But some things in life you just can't prepare for. And so if it's meant for you, everything will line up, right? So that's what I feel like was happening was that this was the idea. It was taking shape in my head. Here comes this opportunity. And I just really recognized that if I turn down this opportunity, it's not going to come again. And so, yes, it's scary. Yes, it feels like I might fail this organization. But I had to ask myself, have you ever failed an organization before? No. When I was an employee, I was the employee that would always come up with an idea that would solve the problem, that would go learn the thing they needed to learn. And I was like, I have to apply that same level of energy and effort to my own business that I would have applied to an employer. And so, I think you can talk yourself out of anything. Right. So don't spend a bunch of time. And the other thing I would say is you really sit down and think about what can actually happen. And everything can be put off forever. But if you set that goal to say okay, this is what I want to hit by this milestone in the next 3 months, or whatever it is for you, then work toward that milestone. Don't get overwhelmed by the whole journey. Just take the first step. And I think the other thing just that I would say for myself, I was getting older in life, right? I'm at my age publicly. I'm 56 years old, right? And I'm like, do you want to keep working like this forever? Are you what is your plan, right? And so, I don't come up in a place where or haven't had a government job forever. I don't have a pension. I don't have, I was like, what does the rest of your life, what do you want it to look like? And so
Mhm.
that's why taking a chance on me now. And the same way when I started my consulting practice 10 years ago, it was the same thing. I remember my parents going like, oh my God, how is she going to make it? Because we didn't know entrepreneurs, right? Like everybody had a job, right? And so taking that chance even then, right? I would like, you can always go back and get a job. You can always get a job. So if I don't take this chance on myself and I don't set some time frames, that's never going to happen. And am I okay with that? And so, yeah, I'm always just like, you got to try.
Yeah. And I know we've talked about this before. I had some very well-intentioned boomer parents. I
Mm,
know you did too, right? And
yeah.
how do you recommend women handle the people who are doubting?
And I had to learn this over 10 years. Like at first, I was like, I remember my dad saying to my mom, I'm still in the room, like, you think she can do this? Then I was like, I'm still here. I'm still sitting here. But
Here, Dad.
and so, it was kind of like, okay, I think I can do it. And the person who I have to satisfy is me. Right. And so I'm going to give it a shot. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. In the same way, we all take on jobs and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't work. And so, like, there's nothing that's different about it except for the decision making, right? Like, I get to decide what I want to put forth energy into as opposed to having it decided for me. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just telling yourself, like, I can do it. And, using all the skills that you've had that you've put to work, in the employ of other people to to yourself and to your own vision and your dream. And everything, the other thing that I would tell myself, and I say this to all the time, like if you look just I'm looking at my desk area in front of me. Every single item on this desk, if somebody had an idea and somebody else said it wasn't gonna work. But yet we're sitting here talking on Zoom, right? Which like who could have thought of that, right? At some point, even 8 years ago, right? Who could have thought about that? But every single item that you pick up every day was somebody's idea, somebody's genius that other people said, oh, that's dumb. Right? But
Yeah.
we're all still using it, right? We're all still talking on our iPhones. We're all still wearing glasses. We're all still like, I'm looking at battery charger thing, like my computer, even like this basket, right? Like somebody said, why would you want to make a basket? He like, right.
Yeah.
And we all have hundreds of them now in our house.
Exactly. Somebody filled a
Mm,
need. Yeah,
something we need. That's
exactly.
what we're doing, right? We're filling a need that either we're the first ones to identify, but yet it is the solution. When you say it to other people, they're like, oh yeah. People who know now, you can talk to your family all day. They don't understand what you do anyway. So saying it to them, they're gonna be like, okay, that's great. Heck, but say it to other people in your industry, right? Say, hey, I really think this could be different and see what that reaction is. And that's what you have to go with, right? Like you always have to find the people who understand. And not everybody will, and not everybody will see it the way you see it. But if you feel like it's there, you owe it to yourself to pursue that.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think so many of us in high intensity industries or corporations, we're used to reacting to a moment.
Mhm.
We've got a lane that we're expected to stay in and react to what is thrown at us. And so oftentimes, good employee, good business means you were of service to that reaction was of service to someone else, right? You did a thing, you solved a problem, like you
Mhm.
said earlier. Has good business shifted for you now? I mean, what does it mean for you now as an entrepreneur to have success in this lane, in this niche?
Yeah, it's interesting because just last week here in Maryland, it was like 100 degrees every day. It's crazy. So I typically and built a reputation for being able to kind of turn around programs that may be in trouble. So it's like shelter programs or housing programs. And I hadn't done it in quite a while, but I got called into a program last week. And as I stood there, I was like, this is not the life I want. Like, I know I can do this. I know I could solve the problem. I could do this, but does it make me feel good? And it doesn't in the same way that it once did. And that's when for me, that was confirmation that I'm on the right track because I'm excited by everything MS Works learning, everything. right? Like whether it was picking the logo, whether it's like coming up with a way, even like this weekend, I had to rebuild our full approach to kind of our pilot launch. And all of that was like so exciting to me because I still see the potential. And so I just decided like the things I did and have done for a long time, they just don't fulfill me in the same way. And I'm so excited by taking on some of the new challenges. And, not like, yeah, I worry a lot about people who are social workers who are in the field that like we tend to like burn out and leave the field. And I think that's the worst thing that can happen. And so I think that training is the answer to that. And so I always say, like, if we can prepare people for the work, they will stay in it because they can get the fulfillment they need and feel good about it. And so I know that that is the bigger problem that I am trying to solve, right? Like it is the bigger problem, the bigger solution that I'm looking for in service of humanity, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, my goal is that people don't have to experience homelessness, don't have to experience other, awful kinds of things. And, but that if they are, what they receive in that time period to address that, their emergent needs, as well as to help them have a plan for the future, relies upon people who are the least trained, who we're not investing in. So my goal is to make sure that we can achieve what is our overall humane goal through preparing people for the work that they're going to be doing and, not leaving that to chance, right? And saying to people, I know it's a hard thing, right? Like I know, right? It's a hard thing to get your hands around. It's a hard thing to think about. It's hard to find time for training, which is why we focused on online learning, right? Self-paced. People can do it at any time, right? It's because that's how we get to what's a consistent, level of training across a community or across an organization is by making it available and accessible rather than, you can bring in somebody and I'm all for bringing in people to do training, but you can't get everybody in the room at the same time in this work, right? Because we run 24-hour programs that serve other people. So I can't bring everybody together at the same time. And I also can't in a live training format, and this is from my own live training, right? Over time, I don't give you tests when I do a training, right? I just deliver my stuff. You ask me questions. We go back and forth. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful day. But at the end of the day, I can't demonstrate that you can implement the thing that I trained you on that day. But when we do online learning, we can. And so that's what we need is we need quality training, demonstration of skill so that we know that people are taking in and have learned that thing and can now implement it in their day-to-day work. So I probably rambled on that. I'm so sorry.
No, not at all. No, I think that's well articulated because it's a clear vision and it's connected to your larger why.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I'm curious, you said something earlier, and I want to circle back to this. You said that you were not profit oriented. And there is something about bringing an entrepreneur into a space where you think, okay, how can you sustain this work? So I know money is a part of this. We have to have it to be able to sustain our work and be able to address our why. So where does your success sit right now? I know you're building beyond money. I hear that in your why, but where do you sit with charging what you're worth? Where can you advise people who are coming into this space to really revisit that and do it in such a way that makes it so they can stay in their niche?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, first of all, that little career assessment test that I took in 1987, I think was wrong, to be honest, right? I think, in obviously a whole different time, right? Especially for women, right? I was at that point thinking of being a finance major to say like, okay, I have an interest in finance, but I'm not profit oriented like it just did. So I was like, I'll be a social worker. Right? I think that things have changed. I think in my life, over time, I was like, yeah, that doesn't make sense because I am actually interested in profit, right? Like, and I'm not like interested in profit. Like, I mean, obviously, we'd all love to be, I think we would, I don't know, be a trillionaire. I'm sure we would love it, but I'm not even worried about that part. I want to be able to have a good quality of life for myself and my family. I had kind of gotten through my consulting. I had kind of worked through some of the challenges around charging your worth, right? So when I first started, right, like I needed work. So you do it for like what was really a little bit of money. And because you're starting out, I didn't say no to anything, right? I was like, I'll do it. I'll do it. Cause you think, oh my God, we gotta have, we gotta eat. So over the 10-year period, I got more comfortable with like, no, this is what it costs for me to be there. Some of that by talking with colleagues, right? Like understanding what people who are operating at the level I'm operating, are charging, what they're, all of those things. And so you start, looking at like what the level that the field should be on. The other thing I would say that in my field is that, we work with organizations, who have limited budgets. And if you don't establish, like kind of where you are as a field, then you will be underpaid. Right. Like no doubt about it. Nobody's ever going to fight to pay you more. So as I work with other people and talk with them, it is kind of this lesson of learning like, okay, this is what we consistently should be charging as a whole in the level of people who do this work and the group of people that I work, that do the same type of work I do. There's only a few of us, right? It's not like there's a huge amount of people. So we all, work together and can be a little bit more consistent in how we think about pricing. But you got to get comfortable with that. I mean, like I always say, I've been saying to myself this because I have a tendency to give away things, right? Like, oh, I'll give you that training for free. Oh, I'll do that, right? Like, right. And so, but I had to tell myself that like when you have achieved your goal, right? And I don't set my goal necessarily as a financial goal, right? I set it more as an impact goal. So my goal by the end of this year is to have, outside of my one large client, to have 10,000 users in our regular catalog. So that's my goal, right? Like, yes, money is associated with that, money that will come to me, money that will come to the expert instructors that I have on my platform. But that's my goal. And if we achieve that goal, we should achieve our financial goal as well. And then I can give things away. Like then I can like delay it for myself, right? To say, okay, you know what? Then like I know I could tell you right now what my like giving plan is, right? Like I know exactly who I'm giving money to, how much I'm giving them, and what I'm giving it for, right? Like it's the same conversation that you have if you're like you buy a lottery ticket and you like, boy, if I win this $100 million today, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and this, right? And it's like most of those things, right? Like
Yeah.
I have always wanted to be able to give, right? To be able to give money, to be able to give of time, which is all I've had for a while, but but to be able to really support things that need to be supported in organizations. So that's kind of it. So I'm a person who doesn't necessarily like, I don't want to I can talk a budget with you, but not my personal budget, but talk about budget, but I don't necessarily set it. But I did decide when part of my my goals are impact goal, like the impact that we want to have. And then if we reach that impact, the financial goals will be hit automatically. I think they'll be exceeded, to be honest, right? Like, because money is money. It has energy, it moves, right? And so it's going to move to the place where it needs to be. It sounds a little woo-woo, I know, but
I'm good with woo.
okay,
I'm good. I think that it's really interesting to hear how you're bringing your whole self to the table as an entrepreneur. And so all of these pieces that have made you who you are coming to the table, and there's a freedom in that that doesn't necessarily exist in industry or in corporate. So I appreciate all the parts of you that you're able to bring to the table and talk about with this. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's like if you okay, maybe when people hit the right age of 56, right? You could look back and go, oh wait, all of this makes sense, right? And so, and I think I may have told you this, right? Like when I got married in 2011, my husband had a stroke 3 months later. My vision of marriage, right? Like, and all the things that I was like, oh, I don't do this anymore, and I've taken my car for an oil change. I'm gonna be well taken care of. All of that kind of was like, oh wait, no, that's not right. I decided then that no matter what happened, that we had dreams, right? And that we were gonna still accomplish those dreams. And I honestly feel very strongly that like without that happening, I would not have become the person I needed to be. So it sounds crazy. And I have like been through like all the grief around like envisioning a marriage that you thought was going to be one way and now it's another way. and all the things that I'm now responsible for. And, it's sure, like you can look back, but I look back now and say, like, all the things that happened were intentional and they've given me the experience, both personally and professionally, that I needed to be in this place. And so there are people who might see this podcast who are from where I'm from in Kalamazoo, Michigan, who would say, "Oh my gosh, she was so shy." Right. And, I maybe was, but life circumstances didn't allow me to stay that way. Right. And I'm so glad. Like, I feel like I've been able to realize the fullness of who I need to be by having all the things I thought about the world was going to be for me blown up. And so when that all blew up, it was like, well, here we go. Right? We're just going to reinvent this, right? We're going to do it the way we want to do it. And my husband, before his stroke, after the stroke, was always 100% supportive of what I wanted to do. And so we love each other and we're like, we're just going to make it. That's it. We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. So we do.
Oh my goodness. And so what's next for you as you consider your impact goals? You're looking at your first major client. Where do you want to go next?
Uh, I think ultimately, like if we could talk entrepreneurship real quick, right? And because I take random classes, so I took a CFO class, right? How to be the CFO of your business, Chief Financial Officer. And one of the things they talked about in that class was the potential of like building a business and it's selling, right? And so kind of been I want to build this business, right? And ultimately, I want to sell it. Or at least I want somebody to want to buy it. How about that? Right? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, that to me is where we're headed, right? Like, I want to build something so fabulous, so beautiful, so helpful, and that changes the world so much that people want to buy it, right? And so that to me is kind of what I see as like our ultimate goal, right? You hear about those people who like have a business and then somebody comes and buys it out for like $2 billion, right? Like, that's what I want, right? Like, I want to be out for an astronomical amount of money, right? Or be able to say, you don't align with my values, so I will not be bought out. Like that kind of like, I want to have that level of decision to make in my life and for my business. And so that's kind of, yeah. I'm enjoying the ride though now. It's exciting. The problems are exciting to me. The fact that we can find solutions is very exciting. Yeah. And the fact that we impact people is just amazing. So
That sounds fantastic. I love that. And I think you're hitting on something that a lot of people are thinking about as well. It's like, what is that 5-year goal? What is that 10-year goal? What does this look like at 62? What does this look like at 66? What does this look like? And that vision that you have, and that's fascinating. Where'd you take that course?
at our local community college.
Oh my God, I love
Right?
that.
Prince George's County Community College, they have an entrepreneurship program, and they offer it. It's like I'm in an evening, like maybe 6 weeks, 7 weeks evening class. And I went into it, didn't understand all of it. Didn't, like it was new, it's new information, and I'm trying to like learn it and didn't understand how it was all going to make sense. But I find myself now going, oh, that's what they were talking about. Right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I've been a big, like, kind of knowledge seeker, right? So if I'm interested in something, I want to learn it in the next 2 weeks so that I can decide if I'm going to do it or I'm just going to be with it forever. And so that's what I kind of did was that there's a place to learn. I'm always learning. We met during the Certified AI Educator program, right? Like, I want to learn stuff. I want to understand it. It may not be that I am teaching AI on my platform, but mostly I wanted to understand more about how to use AI, right? Like, and so I'm very happy to say that MS Works Learning is an AI driven company, right? Like, we are not here to work like exceptionally hard. We don't take shortcuts when it comes to the information that we're putting out in the world, right? That's all expert driven. That's all, research content, all that type of stuff. But how we put it together and how we get it out to the world is definitely AI driven in that way. And we use it to make things easier and faster and to be able to get this out, to get whatever it is that we have out to the world that needs it as quickly as possible.
Break down those barriers.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. More women taking up more space.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. I mean, like the whole She Leads AI, like is so empowering to me, right? It's been like, I was like, oh my God, there's all these other women who are thinking about AI and using AI in such amazing ways, right? In their life and business. And, even when we talk about like people who are doing film and music, right? Like that's something I never even thought about, right? And now I'm like, oh, right. I'm even considering like little action training at some point. Like you might come watch our training video and it's like live action because I can create it with AI. That's down the road though. So not too quickly, but it's like so interesting to me that like you can make things look so different, be so different and do the thing that we needed to do so much more easily than, and I'm not, no disrespect to the theater world or like actors. Like I think that's beautiful. I always want to see that. But for a training video, do we need like, do we need to hire actors? No, we don't. We just need to be able to have good content and be able to deliver something that's realistic and then that works.
And memorable.
And memorable. Yep.
That is amazing. I love that creativity. I love it. So as people are processing what you're saying, they're gonna want to connect with you again. They're gonna want to keep track of not only your journey, but your learning. Where can they find you?
They can find me on, I'm older, so Facebook, right? Right. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn for sure. TikTok, I haven't delved in TikTok too much, but they can also just email me, Michele with one L at MSWORX. So that's how we say MSworks.co. So no M. Very weird. MSworks.co. That's it. That's our website.
I love it. I love it. We're going to put all of that.
We're out there. You'll find it. For MS Work Learning. You'll find it. Yeah.
Yeah, I will put that in the show notes too.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for your time, your experiences. I love it.
Glad to be here and glad to share and happy to talk to anybody about anything. I feel like we have an opportunity that never existed before for us as women. And so we gotta take it. We have to capitalize on it.
And I'm going to encourage anyone who's struggling with action taking, you want to talk to Michele. She is action taker expertise right there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. I look forward to talking with other folks and talking with you again. It's great.
You've been listening to Empowered by AI, and I'm your host, Michele Williams. If something from this episode clicked, don't let it stop here. Take one idea and try it out this week. And if you want to go deeper, head over to the Empowered by AI, the Slay Effect YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and join us there so you don't miss out on what's coming next. All the links and resources are in the show notes. I'll see you next time.